Okay, let's go on. So I was saying that the importance of our design drawings is that our designs drawings go to the 3D modeler who makes the assets, and then he textures them, and then he puts them in the game engine or the movie set, whatever. So what do we have to take care of? The 3D model, the topography, the form changes that we do through line weight, and then we have to take care of the texture. So we have to communicate the 3D form and the texture. Communicate. Are you with me, Athar?
Yep.
Okay, cool, cool.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at our bucket now. So always what we should first do is we make a sheet composition. We give a footer. Let's say we give the name with the date and the topic. So let's say sketches. So we'll try to present our work in a sheet always. From the next time. Okay, let's go on. So I'm doing a reasonable job with the lines. Only thing is we need to take care of the line weight to show overlapping forms. To show overlapping forms. What this means is that we should show that okay, if this is a plus, let's say this is a weaving pattern, we should be able to say which one is above which one. So with our line weight we should communicate that okay, this is before and these lines are after. So these lines come after, this comes first. So we have to use the line weight better. So I feel like, so let's say you have this first pass with, let's call it the first pass of the line. Now once you're done drawing this, you can just it is then just a maybe 5-10 minute job. Just go on and do the line weight. So to show the overlap. Okay. So it is then just a, you just have to go and do a second pass, which doesn't take too much time. So we have to show that okay, this band of the bucket comes first. Yeah. So in the makeup of this comes first. So let's communicate that. And so see here the lines get slightly confusing. To end this confusion, we should let's look at the reference. Yeah, so this form comes first. So, and what is happening here is that this is breaking the silhouette. So this straight line is broken by this button, this nail like thing. So we'll do that. We'll use it to break the silhouette. Okay. Then then what we should do, think of is that again we'll just do that again. So see now this is a slightly confusing scenario. What happens here is, should I make this thicker or should I make this thicker? Now the camera angle or the horizon line should tell us that. What is happening is that this is coming first and there is clearly more shadow here. So I'll choose to increase the thickness of this one rather than this one. The worst thing to do is making both the lines thick. That's as good as having both the lines thin. So we should try and see how we can show hierarchy. So because here the junction is happening here, but here we did the other way. So for the sake of consistency, I might want to go back and make this line thick, because here the junction is happening, right? So it's okay to make mistakes, and we just have to find a consistent logic that okay, only the topper lines will be, the lines that come top will be that we view from top to bottom will be thicker. So but not necessarily, somewhere you can indeed overlap, like here it might be okay to do it. Then here we use this, break the silhouette somehow. So wherever there's a junction happening, there we can make the lines thicker. And already we're starting to generate appeal. Mm, so yeah, there's an overlap here, which is going all the way, and it is also in a way affecting the silhouette. So what we do is, yeah, mm, and yeah, so just go ahead and do these, and then we should also emphasize the area of contact, like where the object is interacting with the flow. We can slightly make it thicker to also show a bit of shadow, maybe, or not, up to you. And now here I can make this one thicker because there's an overlap, and in the overlap this part comes first, then comes this part, and here I can make this one thicker. And again here I believe I need not make this thick, or I can slightly here, but not all the way, just a bit. And here I can make it thicker here, where there's the overlap happening. And somewhere you might want to break the tangent also, like even if the image doesn't have it, you should not have it like flow in one line. Break the tangent. So now let's look at the, so see, we just, from afar also you can, there's a clear hierarchy of forms, so we should take care of this. And here, see here, there's a good attempt to do that. I can see it here slightly. This is quite thicker than this one a bit, so you should just push it a bit more. And here as well, this bucket form comes first, so take good consideration of that. And yeah, similarly here. Here there was a good attempt to do that. See, you made this line thicker, so you already are starting to understand the concept. You just need to push it a bit more, and be a bit more experimental. And so this only takes 10 minutes after you've done, so you've already done the main hard work, which was to make the drawing. Now you just have to do a 10 more minute of effort. So this 10 minutes is what saves your drawing. Just a, so even in your free time, like, you can draw over your existing drawings to see how you can improve them. So yeah, that's a good idea, I guess. Apart from this, let's talk about the texture. We're sort of being afraid with dealing with texture. Here you've done a decent job at dealing with texture. So let's see how we can do that here. And I'll also try to tell you a technique which you can sort of use. So let's say um, we don't have the time to go over everything. You're sort of a bit missing out on time or something. What we can do is make a good put in the time, like maybe 5-10 minutes, make a good texture here. Let's say we'll, we'll take care of the overlap later. So let's see. You might also want to look at a better image if you know this particular image for the wood texture doesn't help you. So let's see. I'm trying to. I'll just draw it randomly.
Texture, the image is having certain texture. Like there are some part which is darker.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
are some parts which is lighter. This image doesn't have any grain, so that was a confusing part.
right.
Okay, that should I do it with lines or should I try to paint it?
Okay, so because no, so for the scope of this assignment, we're supposed to use the line because we have not come to value breakup yet. Uh, but the texture inherently
Uh,
will be the same. So the color of the log will change, but the directionality of the grains will sort of remain similar, and there's some breakup here as well. I'll tell you how to deal with this as well. So let's say we made the texture here once. This is uh, this is our texture. So what you can do is to be very quick. Um, you can like repeat it here, repeat it multiple times. So take it here, maybe skew it a bit, squeeze it, try to adjust it. One second. Okay. And yeah, you take it again. Do this. Take care of it. And so we just try to paste it multiple times. Now what we can do is go on erasing it. So I'll erase it here. But remember, this is a very quick technique, so you need not use it everywhere. But some places where wood, like wood and all, it's quite efficient. So again, we don't need to put the texture everywhere. So let's sort of, maybe I'll just put a texture here a bit more. Hmm. So again, I'll try to put texture closer to this part and then radiate it outward. So the texture density will be most here, and then I'll try to slightly erase it. Hmm. Then somewhere towards the end, I'll try to decrease the density. This also you can, with a bit more consideration, you can do a better job. But so already we're starting to add some more noise to the thing. So see, we're just trying
yes.
to add life to our drawing. Yeah, and again we
Um, there was one more question.
yeah
So there are two materials mostly. The
in this
major texture is wood, and
huh
the another one is the metal. So
okay
there is
right
a very dark tone to metal and very how can I say, very noisy tone to it.
right.
So how should I represent it?
um you can try to do it very briefly, like there's it's maybe just try to draw a random noise texture, and what you might want to do is have this one of the edges also slightly noisy, and then you reflect that in the texture as well. So you know it will be very weird if this is perfect. One second. It will be very weird if this is like this and then I'm having noise texture. Then it looks like I've stuck a sticker. But if I also have noisy edges and then even the texture is becoming noisy, then your brain just believes it better. Same thing we do try to do here. So if I'm adding noise texture here inside, then I'll add noise texture outside as well. Then you can Mm. So yeah, see, maybe this is how you can go about adding the noise texture. But keep in mind that the edges should also reflect the textures. Same thing is happening here on a very minute level. So if I have, let's say, grains here, I should also try that. Okay, maybe what is happening? Maybe some of it is there's a break in the wood, just slight break. So then your brain believes it more, and then let's maybe decrease some of the texture here. Like wherever you squint your eyes or zoom out and see that things are becoming a bit noisy, there you can delete the texture. And yeah, so I'm just trying to fill the page right now. I'm not exactly drawing the texture as it should be, but just trying to fill the page. And yeah, see here there's a good overlap happening between metal and wood. They made like a buckles kind of a thing. So you can try to capture this. It's a very interesting detail. And there's some texture here as well, which is also like a bent wood kind of a texture. So you can have similar along the length of the curve, right? So, and here we should again show that line weight here. So, and let's say if you really feel that the texture is getting too strong, you can decrease the opacity slightly. So here we can play with the opacity. So I think same thing you can use here as well with the frog. So if I have, let's say I add a texture, noise texture on this frog, like the scales, then I should also have it so that his legs, the silhouette of his legs is also slightly bumpy to show that okay, there's been there is some noise texture. So yeah, I think I'll let you practice the frog. I won't ruin it for you. And let's come to this one. So you seems quite good to be honest, not bad. Let's see where we can sort of try to improve it, or maybe push it a bit. Hmm, somewhere I believe it might have gotten too noisy, and I'm not so sure of it. But let's see. Just a bit of removing the noise will. Hmm, yes. That I'm trying to sort of take it closer to the focal point. You've done a decent job with the detail. I wouldn't say this is a bad job. This is a good drawing. I'm just trying to concentrate the details in the focal point so that we have a clearer idea of where to look. So that the details are concentrated majorly here. So I'm just trying to create a directionality. That okay. More lines are towards the focal point, so I should look at the focal point. Mm, yeah. So this is slightly easier on the eyes, but it's essentially I have not changed anything. Maybe you can do the texture better. So like actually try and draw the silhouette of the texture. Like this is this is more about the consideration. So wait, I can tell. Okay, so try to have a thicker line. But this is more about zooming in and then I can scale the texture. But try to have a instead of these kind of try to do it properly in one place so that you can copy and paste it at other places as well. I understand you did this with a real pen, so it might have been difficult, but when you do it digitally, just try to give it thickness as well, slight thickness. What you can do for your own practice is take this, um, Control J, uh, increase it. What you can then do is decrease the opacity, like we would put a tracing paper, and then just for your own study, analyze this texture. Because once you know how wood texture works, like wood and bark works, then you can use that knowledge everywhere. So one study also takes you a long way. So yeah, and then you'll be like, okay, now I understand how wood works. So let me do it better. So yeah, these exercises can take you a long way. Overall, a good job. Can do better with more sketches. But yeah, I hope you got some value out of this particular one. Yeah, so that's about the line art and the feedback. It's, we wouldn't keep the demo too long today because we already spent too much time on the. Okay, we've taken 21 minutes on the demo, on the feedback. Let's now try to see what to do with Blender. So when you open Blender, let me just do it again. Are you with me, Atha?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Mm, when you open Blender, this is what you encounter. I'm on Blender 3.6. You can, I think when you download it, I'd suggest you download Blender 3.6 only, or any version before Blender 4 because they majorly changed their UI and I'm just not used to that. So when we open it, you can click on General and this is what comes here. Now let me turn on this thing so you can see what I'm pressing. Okay, so now when we first encounter it, it looks too scary, but let's try to understand it one by one. Here there's like a toolbox kind of a scenario where there is the selection box which is used to make selections. Then there is this thing called the 3D cursor which we'll come to later. Then there's this thing called move, and we can move the selected object with move. And there's rotate to rotate the object. I'll just press Ctrl Z, and scale to scale the object. Then there's transform to do all of that thing at once. Then there's this annotations thingy to make annotations, but we'll come to that later. And this is our timeline. For now, we'll just let it be. This is for animation. We'll not delve in it in this course right now. Now with the middle mouse button, I can rotate the screen. What this, so when we come here, this is called a viewport, this whole thing. Because I'm able to view the objects here, this is called the viewport. And let's see what else is happening here. With shift middle click, I can pan, or I can press this and pan across the screen, across the viewport. Or I can do that with shift and middle click. I can also use this to rotate, and I can also use the middle mouse button to rotate, and scroll wheel up and down to zoom in and zoom out. Now if I press this button, which is called the accent gray, which is below the escape button, I can see like a pop-up menu which shows front, top, back, left, right. This I use to toggle through the multiple views of the same object. So if I want to view it from the right, I'll just press the accent button and go to the right. If I want to view the top, I'll take it to the top. For now, let's keep it at front. Now again, I'm using shift and middle click to pan. uh, middle click to move, and scroll wheel zoom in and zoom out. If we click here, now let's come to these things. This is the light source, and this is the camera. So when I press this, there's an option called view camera. If I click here, it views the camera. And if I click this as well, it views the camera. Now let's learn the basic of, today we'll learn how to move, scale, scale in X, Y, Z axis, and okay, no, okay, yeah, let's scale in X, Y, Z axis, object mode and edit mode. But before that, let me tell you the principle of Blender. So Blender works on the concept of one second. It works on this concept called the poly modeling. So if I go into edit mode here at the top left, I can see these points. And what is basically happening is, if I'm to delete this, uh, how it what the principle that Blender works on is poly modeling. So this point is called a vertex. If I extend the vertex in any XYZ direction, it becomes a line. When I extend a line and enclose it, uh, and I merge the points, I form a plane. When I take the plane in XYZ axis, in Z axis basically, if I take the plane in Z axis and then I merge the respective vertices, I form a 3D object. So this is the principle that Blender works on, which is called poly modeling, because we take these polygons. So from a vertex, we take to the line, from the line to the plane, and from planes to 3D objects. And basically that becomes poly modeling. So if I move this polygon, the form changes. It's like how we do origami or cardboard box or like paper boxes in real life. We have a vertex point, and manipulation of the vertex points changes the form of the object. Let me go back into object mode. I can also press tab to toggle from object mode to edit mode. So if you want to repeat it when you are watching the video again, what you can do is, let's say we have to add objects. So beside edit mode on the top right here there's this thing called add. So you can add a mesh, a curve, surface, etc. But we'll just focus on meshes right now. So this cube that we bring here is called a mesh. Now to scale it, the spelling of scale means to increase or decrease the size of the object. So because scale starts from S, so the shortcut to scale is S. So if I press S and just move my mouse from left to right, I can scale the object. If I want to scale it in X direction, then I can press S, then X, and scale it in that direction. If I want to scale it in Y direction, S plus Y, and S plus Z to scale it in Z direction. So S, X, Y, Z. So this is how it works, how scaling works. Similarly, since to move the object, we have to grab it. And because the spelling of grab begins with G, the shortcut to move or grab an object is G. If I press G and move my mouse, I can move the object from left to right anywhere. If I press GX, I'll move it in X-axis. If I press GY, I move it in Y-axis. So, and Z for GZ will take me to Z-axis. Similarly, since the spelling of rotate begins with R, rotate begins with R. To rotate the object in X, Y, and Z, so Z will rotate it in Z axis, Rx will rotate it in X axis, Ry will rotate it in Y axis. So, how can we use this, what we know right now already? Now, one more thing, one more operation I should tell you is duplicate. Again, I'll just repeat it because the spelling of duplicate begins with D. To duplicate an object, I'll press Shift plus D. So let's say I select this object and I press Shift plus D and move it here and there with G. So I don't need to press G also. If I just press Shift D, I've duplicated the object. So yeah, I already have. So now I have the knowledge of how to. Now what all operations have we learned right now? To scale, move, that is grab, rotate, and duplicate. Let's see how we can use the existing operations that we learned to do something. So I'll just take this object and move it. I can create a composition with this already. I move it here. Now let's see. I'll try to make a composition randomly. I'm going in the right view to sort of make something. And move it. Scaling it again. Scaling it in. Moving it in x-axis. Again duplicating it. Moving it in my x-axis. Going in camera view. But let's not go in the camera view right now. Let's just press the middle mouse button and rotate the thing, or press this sphere right here and rotate it. I already have this. Now I can take a screenshot of this, and already